Reading together is like going on an adventure. Every page is more fun when we turn it together. Shared learning is like going on an adventure with your friends. When we read together, we laugh, learn, and discover new things side by side. It's more exciting and easier to understand when we help each other and enjoy the story as a team. But what is shared reading? I am Kristina Gilbuena, and together with me is Dee Cyree Russia. We will discuss more about shared reading. What is shared reading? When we say shared reading, it is an interactive reading experience where a teacher and students read together. Shared reading is a method of teaching children how to learn to read. It is an interactive experience revolving around the shared reading of a large print or digitally enlarged text. The key to shared reading is that the text must be large enough for all the children to see clearly so that they can share and read together. The main purpose of shared reading is to provide children with an enjoyable experience that gets them excited about reading. During these sessions, children are introduced to a variety of authors and types of text to find out what kinds of stories and topics they enjoy. Shared reading is typically used in EYFS or early years foundation stage, which ages birth to 5 years, typically nursery and reception, and KS1 or Key Stage 1, ages from 5 to 7 years old, which is grade 1 and grade 2 classrooms. And now let's discuss more about the shared reading process, which are the before, during, and after. Now let's start with the before. At the beginning of a shared reading session, the teacher will start by introducing the story. They'll talk about the title, cover, and title page. Typically, they'll instruct children to look at the page on the front cover and ask what they think this tells them about the book and what might happen in the story. Next, they perform a picture walk of the book. Without telling the story completely, the teacher will point out characters and events from the images inside the book. So you must remember before reading, the purpose of this one is to set the stage for understanding and engagement to our students. So what happens? First, we will introduce the book, show the cover, read the title, and talk about the author or illustrator. Next is make predictions. Ask questions like, what do you think this book might be about? And also have an activate prior knowledge. Connect to the story to something familiar. Have you ever seen a farm before? And next is set a purpose. Give children something to listen for or think about. Let's find out what the bear does when he wakes up. Just like that. And now the next process, which is the during. Here, the teacher points out each words as they read aloud, and children are asked to follow along with their eyes. The teacher makes sure to read the text as naturally as possible, focusing on fluency, expression, and intonation. This read through also allows the teacher to demonstrate where to look for information on the page and which order the text needs to be read in. So the purpose of during reading is to actively engage with the text to build understanding and enjoyment. What happens here is that the model fluent reading, which read aloud with expressions and clarity. And also you need to pause to discuss, ask questions or comment what's happening. Why do you think the character looks worried? And also track the print. Point to words as you read to show directionality and word boundaries, especially in EYFS. And also, you need to encourage participation. Invite children to join in with repeated phrases, rhyme, or predictable patterns. And also, you need to use visuals to draw attention to illustrates to support comprehension to our children. And now down to the last process, which is the after. Here, the teacher will return to the predictions that the children made earlier. If their predictions weren't quite right, The teacher will ask how they know this too. You can ask questions like, what do you think the main message of the book was? If you could change one thing about the story, what would it be? And many more. So, the purpose of after reading is to deepen understanding and extend the experience. What happens? You can discuss the text, like what happened in the beginning, middle, and end. Did the story end the way you expected? Talk about also the vocabulary, revisit new or interesting words, and also make connections. Has anything like this ever happened to you? How is this character like someone you know? And also, you can retell or sequence. Use props, puppets, or pictures to retell the story because remember, you are teaching children's. And also, extend the learning. Do a follow up activity like drawing a scene, acting out a part, or writing a sentence about the book to really test if your students really understand the story what they are reading. And now let's discuss the second reading. During the second reading, children can join in with reading even more as they are familiar with the words and phrases. The children and teacher may take turns reading. Here on the second reading or repeated reading, it is when the same text is read again. From the word itself, second reading. It is usually on a different day or later in the same session. For a deeper purpose, it's common and powerful strategy, especially in EYFS and KS1 classrooms. Why do we need to have a second reading? It is to reinforce comprehension, build vocabulary, support fluency, especially in KS1, and develop oral language skills, and also encourage more critical thinking and discussions. And now, here is the comparison between first reading and second reading. From the first reading, it is focused on enjoyment and understanding the story, while the second reading, it focuses on deeper comprehension or specific skills. And from the first reading, it is introduced character, setting, and plot, while here on the second reading, it dig into characters' feelings, cause and effects, and predictions. And next one here on the first reading, it explores illustrations and basic questions, while in the second reading, it discusses author's purpose, language features, and themes. And lastly, here on the first reading, it is lots of teacher-led talking, while here from the second reading, it is more student participation and dialogue. So these are the comparison between the two, the first reading and the second reading.
Good day, class. So now let's talk about the benefits of shared reading. And believe me, there are a lot. So shared reading is a great tool, especially for struggling readers, because it gives them the same level of support as everyone else in the class. So it makes sure no one gets left behind when learning how to read. Usually, shared reading uses enlarged books or digital projections with big fonts and illustrations, making it easier for young learners to recognize and spell sight words. These visuals make reading more engaging and accessible. Another great thing is that teachers can choose texts that are above the student's current reading level. So even if a child can't read it independently, they can still enjoy the story and understand it with guidance. So cool, right? It also helps develop mnemonic or phonemic awareness, that's knowing how sounds relate to others, how sounds relate to letters and words during shared reading. So students hear the words and see how they are written, connecting spoken and printed language. It even teaches basic book handling skills like where to look when reading and that we read from left to right. Plus, shared reading helps children connect what they already know to new information that builds stronger comprehension skills. And of course, it's a golden opportunity for teachers to introduce new vocabulary, demonstrate decoding skills, and explain how print works. So, all in all, shared reading is not just fun, it is an incredibly powerful strategy for developing young readers. So, there are three top tips for shared reading. First, we have take your time. So, if you want to plan a shared reading session, remember to give yourself enough time to comfortably introduce, read, and discuss your chosen story. So, you will want to make sure you and your young learners have plenty of time to read aloud, enjoy, and discuss the book. As a general guideline, try planning out approximately 20 minutes for a reading session. Second, we have add dimension to your storytelling. So reading a story to your children can feel a bit one-sided sometimes. So using tone and expression in your storytelling can reflect the tone of the story or the personalities of the characters. So don't read too fast and make sure to vary your pace so that you can pause for emphasis. This can also help children to follow the story more easily. Lastly, third, we have take note of how your children are reacting to the story. So not every story will appeal to everyone. So watching your children's reaction and how they engage with your reading can tell you a lot about which stories your children enjoy the most. Specifically, you should watch out for children's expressions and body language and be sensitive to signs of boredom or confusion. So, based on what you see, you may need to change your reading plan, change the book, or do more preparation next time. So, it can also help you when picking other books to read for future shared reading sessions. There are two questions that are frequently asked about shared reading. So, first is how can I make shared reading exciting and engaging for my pupils? So, one fantastic way of encouraging your young learners to actively participate in and enjoy shared reading is by creating a reading corner in your classroom. So, designing a space to facilitate all kinds of reading, whether independent, shared, or guided, can be helpful in a number of ways. So, settling down into a cozy area just for reading can help young learners to focus. Additionally, it can create an atmosphere in which children who may not be very confident in their reading skills are unable to participate. The separation between the comfortable reading nook and the open space of the classroom may help them to have a comfortable reading session. So we will go to at challenging themselves to take part in the shared reading activity. So if you would like to add a reading area to your classroom, why not check out or research some informations online? And in order to keep the reading area distinct from the rest of the classroom, you might want to consider setting some rules for using this space. So these handy posters encourage children to tidy up after themselves and respect any books kept in the reading area too. So, another way to get your pupils excited about shared reading is to let them have some input regarding the books you read together. So, picking the shared reading book for a future lesson could be a reward. Alternatively, you could ask children to vote on the book they would like to read. So, this could help to introduce children to very basic graph and data interpretation. All right. Next is which books work best for shared reading. So there are a number of things to consider when selecting a book to read during guided reading. First and foremost, it is important to keep your young learners in mind. So, what format would work best for them? What topics or themes are they interested in? Which learning goals are you working towards? So, could you pick a story that relates to another subject or topic you are looking at this year or that includes words from your current spelling? So, one easy way to make sure that the story you've selected meets your KS2 lesson aims is by choosing one of the best books that suits for shared reading. Thank you for listening. Please check the next slide for the three questions you have to answer all about shared reading. So make sure to think carefully and share your answers below the comment section. I am excited to hear what you think. Thank you.